seriously, Mako? Are you for real right now? Are you... nah. I know this is not the most important point, the most important thing by far in this episode, but this is annoying me. Was that necessary? I mean, I really wish that they'd stop with this whole relationship business. It's really annoying, and I wish they'd just stop. I was rooting for Mako. I was rooting for Mako. I hated Mako last book. I was rooting for him this one because it seemed like he was the only one that seemed to retain any common sense. Now all of a sudden it's just like out the door. What is wrong with him? Korra comes back, and apparently she doesn't remember, she didn't remember their fight, because, whatever happened with the Dark Spirit, and only fragments of her memory came back, I guess, is the result of that. And so, she didn't remember their big fight, and she didn't remember them breaking up. And so, they're in front of everyone, like, literally everyone, and instead of acknowledging the fact that, yeah, we did have a fight, and we broke up, he's gonna sit there and lie to her face in front of everyone else who knows the truth. That doesn't make any sense. It makes no logical sense. I don't know what in the world was going through his head, but it didn't make any sense. It was dumb, and I don't know why he did it, and I don't know. He's back on my list now. I don't like him anymore. I mean, it's not that I have a stark dislike for him like I did in the first season, but he's treating Asami like garbage all over again, and it's annoying. Asami just needs to find someone that's not him, because Mako is annoying. And at this time around, it's not Korra's fault, because Korra didn't know anything about it. But Mako, right in front of Asami, it's like he does not care, and he doesn't acknowledge the fact that Asami has any human feelings whatsoever. He seems to regard her as some sort of object that he can, pick up whenever he so pleases, really. Whenever Korra's away, or whenever Korra gets boring, he can pick up his toy and play around with it, but whenever Korra comes back home, then the toy gets boring, and he stuffs it in a closet, never to be seen from or heard from again until he gets bored again. But anyway, that's not the most important part of this episode, and even though the creators seem to want to make us think that it's the most important part of the episode, because this love triangle, will they or won't they thing, is starting to get really, really annoying, but they seem to be pushing it towards the forefront. Well, not really the forefront, but really, they're trying to make it seem important when it's really not. And I don't think it should be there whatsoever. At all. The first Avatar, it had romance, but it wasn't shoved all up in your freaking face like, hey, we're trying to push this love story. Love it! Love it! That's not what they were trying to do. And I feel like they're shoving this love story, not even a love story, it's just teenage drama down the throats of everyone who's watching Avatar, and it just seems unnecessary, because the story could be so much greater without it. It's just not even necessary. It's funny, I didn't want to make this thoughts on video review too long, because every time that I make one of these thoughts on videos, I plan on making it roughly around 8 to 9 minutes. And it ends up being ridiculously long, and it's just been progressively getting longer. And this episode was an hour long. I don't remember the name of the first episode, but this one was, the second one was Harmonic Convergence, obviously, because it's talking about harmonic convergence. So, I don't remember what the episode was called. Night of 1,000 Stars. Wow, I never would have remembered that. So, this episode was a two-parter. And finally, Mako's proven innocent. And I don't know, there's so many things that kind of annoyed me about this episode. Just like a lot of episodes this season have been annoying me. But, oh, and I guess I kind of called it in the last Thoughts on Video. In the end of the episode, that Varric, darn it, Unalaq. Why is his name so difficult to remember? He's the main villain, and I can't remember his name for very long. It's ridiculous. But it turns out he's planning on becoming an evil avatar. Ta-da! So during Harmonic Convergence, he plans on merging with Vaatu, right? Vaatu. he plans on merging with Vaatu and becoming a dark avatar to bring balance to the world. Because that totally sounds like it's gonna work, right? So, Rava is the light spirit, merged with Avatar 1, who continues to be reincarnated into a new body. So, I don't follow his logic. He's wanting to fuse with Vaatu so that he can become the dark, he even called it the dark avatar. And his reasoning behind it was because the Avatar, by separating the two worlds, threw them into chaos, which kind of made no sense to me whatsoever, but anyway, saying that they were thrown into chaos, which they were thrown into chaos in the first place, and that's why they were separated. So, I don't know if Vaatu gave him misinformation, or what in the world is going on, but I don't understand why he plans on fusing with the spirit of darkness and disarray and chaos itself to attempt to eliminate chaos. That seems extremely counterproductive to me, and it seems like it wouldn't work at all. But, I don't know, maybe it's just the fact that he's insane, but I don't know. This reasoning totally throws me. I don't get it. But yeah, Harmonic Convergence at the end of this episode, Harmonic Convergence begins. So Korra was unable to seal up the portals. Tonrock, that's Korra's dad's name, I think. He was unable to successfully take back the Southern Water Tribe, and everybody got injured and stuff. And let me tell you something, Boomy does have bending. He's got this uncanny ability to have the most insane amount of luck possible. He has luck bending. It is insane. This dude is always going on about his war stories when he was a general in the United Forces. And they are the most ridiculous, never could actually happen sounding stories. And Tenzin is always very exasperated to hear his stories. And this episode, he got angry, obviously because his daughter is at stake here. But he doesn't take any of his stories seriously. But the fact, it's shown in this episode, the fact that he somehow gets to be thrown into these crazy situations that ends up being beneficial. Like, he kicks this. Okay, here's how it happens. Oogie is where they're trying to fly over to the spirit portal. It didn't work. They get attacked by dark spirits. He tries to kick the dark spirit off of Oogie. Instead, he falls off of Oogie with the dark spirit. And you think, oh, well, crap, I guess he's not going to take part in this adventure. And then everyone else gets caught, except him. Then he pulls out a flute, successfully tames a dark spirit, and then attacks. Well, doesn't attack. He goes and tries to wield an army of dark spirits, fails miserably, but successfully destroys the base of the northern troops that have invaded the southern Water Tribe. He successfully destroys their entire camp and sets the group free. This dude is crazy awesome. I mean, when he started telling his war stories, I'm like, okay, he's starting to sound like sometimes I forget how old Tenzin, Kaya, and Boomy are all supposed to be. Because they act so young. Sometimes they act like really, really young. But I forget sometimes, and I keep forgetting that he's retired because he is not just because he's old, but he's not a really young guy. So it doesn't really occur to me every so often. But this episode, it made me train again. It makes me think about it. They really should tell him to. It's funny. I've lived in this house for over 10 years, and I'm just now starting to hear the train, and it's been going for years and years. Anyway, the fact that Boomy is actually, telling old war stories like an old man, it just finally clicked into my head that that's the whole thing that's going on with him. It's funny. And it's just like this old fogey going on his old war stories. It's hilarious to me. It's funny. Yeah. Boomy. Way to go. So, this may be it. Is this it? Is this it? No, the Crooked Cops. Oh, there's so much more to talk about. Why am I saying is this it? They're not crooked cops, essentially. I just don't like them. And I don't know, it seems to me like balance. It seems to me at the end of this episode, balance has kind of been restored, sort of. Like, Asami's back to being the way she was in season 1, where she was mistreated by Mako, because they were kind of in a relationship-ish. It looked like they were going to start up again, and then Korra comes back and he gets with Korra. So that's where they are. Mako's back to being a jerk bender. The only one that's kind of changed is Korra, because she's kind of got a good attitude now. Lin Beifong is back to having grown a brain after I don't know what the heck happened to her. Maybe she got hit with a dark spirit and forgot how to do her job. And, yeah, Bolin's back to... I mean, I guess he never really changed too much. Even becoming a mover star, it didn't affect his character too terribly much. Yeah, everyone else is basically the same. But those 2 detectives were so annoying. Oh my gosh. But maybe I'm bad for this, but I was so happy when they came and shoved him in a locker. Tied him up and shoved him in a locker. I was happy about that. And this episode also reminded me of what a talented earthbender Bolin is. Because sometimes I just sometimes I forget that he's a bender. I forget that he's a bender at all. Because he's got such a non-bender attitude, if whatever that's supposed to mean. But to me, he seems like he's a non-bender. And then this season, especially, whenever he bends, it surprises me every now and again. Because I'm like, oh, yeah, he is an earthbender. But it kind of reminds me as to why they were the best pro-bending team. Is because they were such good benders. And this episode really showcased that, because in the end he got to be a hero, and he got the girl, which was a little awkward and weird and funny at the same time. Ginger, I don't know why I keep wanting to call her Lucy, but Ginger ends up actually getting with him in the end, which is weird. I wonder how far that will go, because she's only with him because he ended up being a hero in the end. But, yeah, and then there's also something interesting to be said about Varric. I'm not sure how I feel about him in the end, because it's funny, he went to jail, and he had a special jail cell designed for himself in case he ever got thrown in jail, which I think is really genius. He's always got a plan for everything. I always thought that was kind of cool. But, how I felt about the way he went out, I mean, obviously he's gonna come back, because, you know, he has to. And if he doesn't, that's just sad. But, the way he went out, I guess you could say, is just, it was bittersweet. He's in jail. He's not a bad guy, which made the reveal of him doing that, you know, creepy creeper smile, it made it a little underwhelming now that we've gotten towards the end of the season now. So, the fact that he's on Team Varric, yeah, that was made obvious. But the menacing threats that he gave and all that jazz just seem so minuscule now that he's in jail and is just kind of like, yeah, whatever, anyways, y'all can take my ship. But I guess maybe it's just because now he's got nothing to lose, nothing to gain for it. And, you know, if he was all about the money, then I don't know, whatever. Maybe he's just kind of like an easy come, easy go type of guy. But it just seemed a little bit off to me. I don't know. But in the end, he was busted, and they found out that Varric was the one who was getting ready to try and kidnap President Raiko, because he wouldn't support the South in the war. Because Varric obviously wanted to prolong the war so he could sell stuff and make money. So Varric ends up in prison, but then he's like, hey, no hard feelings, y'all can have my boat, go down there, kick some butt. So, I mean, I guess he's not a bad guy, I guess, so, I guess it's not bad. So, I don't know. But there's President Raiko, who still refuses to help the South, even when Avatar Korra came up and was just like, hey, if you don't help, the world can be destroyed. The literal world can be destroyed. Which, another thing to note, too, is that this is the first time in Avatar that, I've seen at least, that the world has ever been shown to be round. Because whenever Harmonic Convergence began, it showed a picture of the globe, which was kind of strange to me because it literally took me out of the episode for a second because I'm so used to seeing that map of the 4 nations and not necessarily of an entire globe. And so we've never really seen the world of Avatar as the world, as a globe. So it was a little strange to me. It took me out of it for a second. I'm like, whoa, that's weird. Maybe it's just me because I'm a little weird like that, but it took me out of it for a second. But still, knowing that this could potentially destroy the world. I mean, I guess he's thinking conservatively, saying if the world is going to end, as you say, my troops need to stay here. That doesn't really make much sense because you want to stop the problem at the root and not do damage control after it's over. Because she knows that she's explained it to him, and it seems like he understands, but it seems like he doesn't understand at the same time. So I don't know what the heck is wrong with President Raiko. And also, I'm not sure how important this is, or maybe I just misinterpreted this, but it seemed to me that Varric referred to his wife as kind of an object, which really, I kind of chuckled at when he first said it, because he said something along the lines of, as soon as I saw your wife, I knew you were a man of exquisite taste. And so, I don't know, it kind of felt like he was referring to her as an object to me, which was kind of weird. It made me laugh a little bit, because I was thinking about him and his assistant Julie, and he kind of treats her as an object, but maybe I'm just thinking too much into this. But, he named his ship Julie, which is also kind of interesting. But then there's, Beifong, Lin Beifong, who, this is what kind of annoyed me. She didn't even give Mako so much as an apology. When they found out that Mako was right the whole time, she didn't even give him, like, an apology. She didn't give him anything. She's just like, well done, Mako. You can make a good detective one day. No apology, being like, oh, I'm sorry, I wrongfully put you in jail. Here's some, compensation for that. Or something, I put you in jail without looking at the evidence, or even stopping to consider that maybe these stupid cops that found this evidence weren't actually doing their job correctly. But she finally fires those two, which they, to me, seem like they weren't necessary characters to me. They didn't need to be there. They were just foil, I guess. They could have done it with any other characters or the entire police force. It wasn't necessary to have these two specific characters there just to be annoying. It's like, they were like the Jar Jar Binks of Avatar Season 2. They just were annoying wherever they were, and they were unnecessary characters to me. It was just, they were annoying. Absolutely annoying. But I guess the only difference between them and Jar Jar Binks is that they weren't actually meant to be liked. So, anyway, I digress. Goodness, I liked the episode. There were just certain things about it that really rubbed me the wrong way and felt a little off, which I had a feeling towards the beginning of this season that once we got to the end that there were going to be some things that felt a little off. Simply because they seem to like to wrap things up really quickly. And one thing that to note about the series, too, is that there isn't any overarching storyline, is what it seems like. Whereas in the first Avatar, you had something that was spanning over 3 seasons. You knew that there was a war going on. And as time went on, you learned details of things. About the Fire Lord, and that he has to take the Fire Lord down before the comet comes and before they destroy the world. There was a time limit. They had deadlines that they had to meet. There was a reason for what they had to do. And everything that they were doing was working up towards him battling, the final battle. And this one, it just feels like I'm watching them, I don't know, face the villain of the month or something like that. A villain of the month club, I don't know. Because really, I feel like I know everyone knows that they didn't know whether or not they were going to get multiple seasons, so they had to wrap season 1 up. I understand that, but Amon was a multi-season villain. To me, he felt like a multi-season villain. And not just wrap it up neatly in 12 episodes. Amon could have gone on for several seasons because that was just a great storyline. And honestly, this whole spirits thing is really interesting, but I think that the second season pales in comparison to the first season because of the emotion behind it. I mean, I feel like they could have gone so far with it. I mean, I know they couldn't just go back and easily retcon it now because that wouldn't make much sense to do so. But if I was them, I would have thought, I mean, you can't go back and redo stuff now, but that it's possible that they could have gotten a second season and third and what in the world? No. And, but at this point, I know they've got 4 seasons, but the one thing that's different between Avatar: The Last Airbender and Korra is the fact that with Avatar: The Last Airbender, you didn't know where it was going to take you next, but you knew where you were going, I guess, to an extent. Korra, you don't know what's coming next, and you don't know where you're going. So it just feels like a blind ride, and you're hoping that it takes you to a place that you'll like. But overall, you're sticking with Korra for nostalgia's sake, for the most part. The story's alright, but it's not it doesn't grab you as much as Avatar: The Last Airbender did. Because the stuff that went on in Avatar: The Last Airbender was really cool. And looking forward to the end is what you really like about the story, or at least it's what I really liked about the story. But here, there's no looking forward to the end. It's just, what's going to happen towards the end of this season. Emotional roller coasters, nostalgia. I was freaking crying last time I tried to do my thoughts on video. But it's not like there's an entire thing that you're kind of looking forward to. I mean, you're seeing her journey as the Avatar, and Harmonic Convergence seems like it's pretty serious. This is something that goes on every 10,000 years. This seems like it's pretty serious. It seems like it's pretty serious. And this is something that could have been handled a little better. Because it wouldn't have lost me, but it was a bumpy ride in the beginning of this season because it was difficult dealing with the characters, and at that point, it was like I didn't like any of the characters. And I don't know. I was sticking with it because I was hoping that they would get over this rough patch and life would be better again, which it is. But I just felt like the season could have been handled better. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But I'm just really, the reason why I'm going all this to say is that there's only one more episode left in this season, 2 if you count the fact that it's an hour-long episode. There's only one more part to this saga left. So my question is, what are they going to do moving forward? Because they've got 2 more seasons. Yeah, they got 2 more seasons left, which is 1 season more than Avatar had. The Last Airbender Avatar, sorry. But where are they going to go from here? I mean, what more do they have to explore? They've basically everything that Korra had to fix with herself is pretty much done. Season 1, she couldn't airbend, and she was not familiar with, the spiritual side of being the Avatar. She couldn't go into the Avatar state or any of that. She learned how to airbend. She learned how to go into the Avatar state by the end of book 1. And then here's book 2, and she's delved farther into the spirit world than I even think that Aang did, or a lot of the Avatars before him. So they've dug a hole so deep. I just wonder where they can go from here. I mean, what else do they have left to explore? It seems like a lot of the loose ends have already been tied up. Or at least will be tied up unless they plan on leaving it open-ended. And this video is going to be extremely long and a lot longer than I wanted it to be. But anyways, it seems like they didn't leave too many loose ends to try and tie up. And I don't know. I just wonder where it's going to go moving forward as of this point. Part of me kind of wonders, at first I was wondering, will they address stuff that wasn't addressed in the end of the Avatar: The Last Airbender series, but they've got the comics for that now, which really I wish that they'd make a movie out of those comics, and I don't know why in the world Nickelodeon thought it was a bad idea to make a full-length Avatar movie that was a cartoon, because I think that would have been golden, and it would have done a lot better than the movie that shall not be mentioned. And I don't know how they can bring more stuff in from the first series, but it'd be interesting to see how they would do it going from here on out. And that's really just what's on my mind now, is where are they going to go now? I mean, ending this season, what am I going to be? What's going to be my driving point? What's going to leave me on the edge of my seat wanting more Korra? Because at this point, I feel like all the storylines are going to be wrapped up. It's possible that won't happen. But, you know. Oh, I forgot to talk about, yeah, Jinora, she's still stuck in the spirit world. They didn't get her out, so they took her to Qatar so that she can preserve her spiritual energy or something like that, so that she won't die. But we already know that she's not going to die. They're not going to kill a kid off. So, yeah, that'll be resolved in the end. As far as I know, that's all I have left to talk about, and this, like I said, is a very long video. Longer than I wanted it to be, so I hope you guys enjoyed it, those of you who stuck it through to the end, and appreciate it greatly. I enjoyed this episode all in all. I enjoy a lot of the core episodes. I love watching this series, and even with the emotional roller coasters and the bumpy rides with all the characters, this season's been fun. So, I mean, it's not deplorable to watch. I mean, it's not a deplorable series, sorry. It's definitely better than a lot of other shows that are on now. It's an exceptional show, whereas kid shows go. It's just not the golden shining egg that we had that was Avatar. So, thanks for watching, guys. If you want to let me know, what was your favorite episode of this season? It's not over yet, not until next week. But as it's drawing to a close, what was your favorite episode of this season? What did you like about the season? What did you not like about the season? What were your gripes? What were your complaints? What were your things that you were just going absolutely nuts over, happy or mad? Let me know in the comments box below. And I will see you in the next video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Peace, love, cactus juice. Later.